so then I'll do the, what am I doing? It's 75 degrees out. It's way better. Okay. So now I can start the video. All right, so now that I'm a little more comfortable, we can talk about 2 video effects that will transform your videos, whether it's through sports, whether it's just a YouTube video, whatever it is. These are 2 effects that you can use that'll help you out with your videos. Let's dive in. This first effect got me my first 100 like video on Twitter, and so it's kind of a big deal, and it qualified for state journalism, so you know it has to be good. This is what I call frame drawing. So as you can see, we have After Effects opened up here. I've already imported a clip and dragged it onto my composition. And so if we just play this clip real quick, it's one of my favorite football clips. This is from Six Man Football. So I get the quarterback, he throws it to the receiver here, and he takes it all the way for a touchdown. So pretty cool. Also loved their jerseys, but irrelevant. So what you're gonna wanna do is grab your brush tool right here, and then you're gonna wanna go over to the right and select paint. Now, if this isn't in here, you can go up to window and you can find it right there and drag it over here. And what you're gonna wanna do here under duration is go to single frame. I think it starts out on constant, which means that if I drew all over here, every single frame, as you see if I click through, is going to be with that drawing. So we don't want to do that. We want to go to single frame. Now, as we drag along, if we start on the first frame here, here's my brush. 13, we can change that. Up above is brushes. We can change it to maybe 21. And then we can just draw, say we want to draw, let's go to right here when the quarterback throws it. Okay, here will be our first frame that we'll be working with. So what if we want to draw a circle around the football and then have it like pop some little lines or something? I don't know, random idea. So we can start by just drawing a little line. And actually, I'm going to go back down to, let's go back to 13. So I'm going to draw a little line. Then I'm going to go 1 frame forward and I'm going to draw another line. Now you see, since it's only 1 frame, I do not have to go back and erase this since the ball is obviously moving, but I still need to have that progression of the line so that it looks like it's moving with the ball and it's actually still progressing around the ball while it's moving through the air. So now we'll maybe go that much. It's a bad circle. This is a lot easier if you have an iPad and you have an Apple Pencil that you can draw on the screen. This is what I started doing with it. It's a lot easier, it's a lot more handy. So if you have After Effects and an iPad and an Apple Pencil, it is so much easier. But we will trek on nonetheless. So we'll go 1 more frame here and now we'll close up the circle. Whoops, that is horrible. Circle drawing. Okay, so we have the circle closed. Now obviously every frame is not going to be the exact same drawing, and it kind of creates this little moving effect, which I think is kind of cool. But if you wanted a uniform effect, you'd have to be looking back and forth between frames. There might be a way that you can do it. If there is, I don't know it. And so now that we have the full circle, we can start to do those lines that I was talking about. So let's do 5. So here's the ball coming back into the frame. And now, since it's been a couple seconds since it's been on, these lines will probably be here. So now we can continue that progression. And it might not look like a whole lot now, but it will look super cool when you play it back. So just trust me on this one. Lines are kind of hard to see there with that sunset. I'm gonna go ahead and just continue this animation until he catches it. and then I will play it back and you guys can see what that looks like. So if we go back and play this, this is what this will look like. So it takes a snap, looks around, he's about to throw the ball, and there it is. Okay, so that maybe wasn't the best example. There was a lot of sunlight, and with the white brush, it didn't really kind of look very good. So I drew a little shamrock. You can kind of see the progression here. I'll go through it. Super, super quick. So almost not even noticeable, but if you watch it back in real time, you can see it lights up. So pretty cool. You can use this in a lot of different ways. Just a couple tips on some things I've learned. It helps when it's not a slow-mo video, but at the same time, the slow-mo can also help. And what I mean by that is the more frames you are using, so if you're shooting a 120 frame clip, to get a second of that animation, it's gonna take you 120 little drawings. And so that might not be the best use of your time. This effect does take a little time to kind of go through that progression, go through that animation. But if it's something you want to add to it, it's very helpful. It can add a lot of spice to your videos. But 24 frames per second is probably the easiest way to go. Another thing, you can add onto this, you can add different effects to this. You can add a little glow to it. You can change the color of it. You can add multiple colors. You can really do a lot with this effect, way more than what I just showed you, and it can really enhance your videos. For example, here's the video that I shot that got 100 likes on Twitter. That video, I used 3 different colors, and it really brought out the colors of the jerseys and things like that, which really helped the overall final product. So that's the first effect. I call that frame drawing. I don't know if there's an official name for it or what, but that's one of the first things I learned in After Effects, and it's a really fun tool to use on different kinds of projects. Effect number 2 is called match cutting. Now this is a more widely known name. If you looked up another tutorial on how to match cut, this is probably a similar result to what would come up. This one is something that you can do while you're shooting. It's something that you can do before you actually get to the editing process, and it's kind of a seamless transition. You're kind of blending frames together to create kind of some movie magic, some crazy effect. So here's a quick example of a match cut that I did. And this was during quarantine of COVID. And as you can see, if we just hit play here, I transitioned between, I think, 5 different outfits, kind of changed the desk around a little bit, and it looks pretty seamless. You can see there's little twitches in the head, things like that, but for the most part, it works. And the fact that I cycled through so many, obviously there's more room for error, but this can be something really cool that you add to your videos to kind of create some different transition, a different effect, kind of tell a different story. Now, how I did this was pretty simple. That computer that I'm looking at is actually a video is playing of the very first match cut sequence that I did. I did the exact same thing. First, I filmed myself doing it once, and I filmed kind of the timing, me looking at the computer, me looking up, me running my hand through my hair. And then I watched it, put it on my computer, and had it playing as I was doing the next cut and the next cut. So I did the exact same thing while watching the first time that I did it, so that I would know kind of when to do what movement. So if I were to show you a little tutorial about this, it'd look something like this. All right, Future Don here, just to set a little bit of an example of a match cut. So here we have the clip where I actually filmed the match cut that you saw at the beginning of the video. And this is just kind of how I would do it. So as you can see, the camera's on tripod the whole time. I start out obviously in blue shirt, I walk in, throw it down, and then I gotta find where I want to cut the video. So I'm thinking probably right around here, like right as I let go or I'm still holding on. That is where I want it to cut then to the red jersey. So if you want a little behind the scenes of that on when I shot it, as you can see, the jersey is right here under the couch, and I just quickly put it on and did not move my feet so I would know that I'd be in the same spot. And then I did a couple different pulls to see which one would work. Let's go. So that last one I was happy with. So then we want to kind of match So right before I let go, so right there is where we want to match cut it. So we'll cut again, and then we'll just drag this over here. We'll delete this, and let's see how that looks. We go frame by frame, pull it. Looks pretty good. Let's play it in full time. So I would probably start it just about here. And let's see how that looks. So as you can see there, that was pretty seamless. I think it helped that I did not move my feet, so I was still going to be basically in the general same direction. As you can see, if we just went frame to frame, there is a little movement obviously, but seeing that back in real time, you really cannot tell, if at all, much of a difference. It's very seamless and nothing else changes, so that kind of tricks the viewer into thinking, you know, how did he do that? So that is the example of a match cut. I'll take you back to the video now. Now, if you didn't quite get the match cut that you wanted, you didn't execute it as well as you thought, and you need something to kind of develop a little barrier so it's not just like so choppy, I use this little rumble effect in After Effects, and I'll show an example up here of a Hastings College girls basketball video that I used it in. Where I didn't really have the setup or the time to develop a seamless match cut. And so I created that rumble effect so that you wouldn't be able to see the inaccuracies in the frame and how I shot it, and it would just appear seamless and appear intentional. And that's how I kind of covered up that non-seamless match cut. So those are two effects that you can use to transform your videos, to blow people's minds and create some movie magic. And I hope you guys use this. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time.